Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. This is going to be a guide to the Bakery in Farming Simulator 25. This is going to cover all platforms and be using base game equipment only. So again, if you're on PlayStation, Xbox, or PC and Mac, this will work for you. I do also tend to talk a little fast, so you can slow me down using the YouTube controls down below. Also make sure to check out the first pinned comment down below, because in case I missed anything or an update changed something, it'll be down there. I also have time codes down below on the video that'll kind of show off the different sections that we're covering here. So if you wanted to skip ahead to something specific, you can go ahead and use those down below. Now, what we are going to cover in this video is placing and buying the bakery, the production inputs for the bakery, using the bakery, the products the bakery produces, how to move pallets, and then the profitability of the bakery. So those are what we're going to cover in this video. And again, those are all time coded out below for you. So anyhow, placing and buying. So first off, I have some placed ones here, but if we wanted to buy the one on the map, you can either go on the map and find it, which I know it's down here, and then hit visit to go to it. Or if you go into the production menu, go to available, you can find the bakery, which is right there at the top. And then you can click on it and then hit visit there. But anyhow, we want to get to the bakery on the map. And then you're going to go up to this wrench icon. And up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see my controls are PC controls, because I'm obviously on PC. You can toggle that help menu on and off using F1 on PC, or if you're on console, go into your menu, go to your settings, go to general settings, and then you can turn your help window off or on in here. So you want to turn that on. That way you can actually see what's going on. If I turn it off, you're going to see nothing up there, but I can turn it back on. So there you go. Now, once you get there, go up to the wrench icon. It should spawn you right on top of it, but in case it doesn't, you just walk around the building until you find it. Then go up to it, hit R, purchase bakery for 150,000. There we go. Now we own this bakery here. If we go into the build mode, which is Shift plus P on PC, again, don't know what the controls are going to be for you if you're on a console, but go into your build mode however you normally get there. Click on the building and you can sell it off. You are going to take a little bit of a loss there if you sell it off, but it'll still be here, and you can come back later and buy it again if you decide to change your mind. Now, if we go back over to where I have all of these bakeries over here, we can talk about placing down our own bakery, which there are several options actually in the game. We're going to go again into the build mode, go into factories, and we have one bakery right there. And then in here as well, there's also two other full-size ones and then a small one. I'm going to just place the small one as well for us here. If we find that down here, there we go. There's the bakery. Boom, we can place that down however we want to. If you want to get rid of them, you can click on them and then sell them off. If you sell them without exiting the build menu, you'll get your full refund. However, the moment I exit the build menu and go back into it and then decide to sell it, you're going to see I'm going to take a 50% loss at least. So there you go, just be careful of that. But that is how we are going to place or buy our bakery point. Not every map may have one, so you might have to place down your own, or if you want more of them to produce more goods, you can always, of course, place down more. But there you go. Now let's talk about the production inputs for the bakery. There are quite a few. I have a lot of pallets back here, and I am going to use super strength to move these around and do that sort of stuff. Again, we're going to talk about how to move pallets later on in the video. So the first thing, and again, I'm also going to say this too as we are going through this, I'm going to put all of these in. Not all of these are required. It depends on what you are doing, but I'm going to show you how to put all these in, and we're going to talk about all the different things that can be put into the bakery. But once we get actually talking about how the bakery works, you'll be able to decide what you actually want to put into it, because you only want to put in the stuff that you actually need for whatever you're trying to produce. So just be aware of that. But yes, we have flour and rice flour, which if you don't know how to produce those, you can check out my grain mill video, which I'll put a card up on your screen right now to check that out. But here we have, I believe this is the regular flour here. Yep, regular flour. So again, all of the factories have this little dump icon. You just need to put the goods in there just like that. Boom. And then this is the rice flour right here again that I'm putting in there. So there we go. Rice and white flour in there. Great. Next thing is strawberries, which we have a pallet of strawberries over here. If you want to learn how to produce strawberries, I'll put a card up on the screen right now to get you over to my greenhouse video, which will show you how to use the greenhouses, which can produce strawberries for you. So all you have to do again is just put them on there just like that. And then moving on, we also have eggs, which eggs come from chickens. If you want to learn how to raise chickens, I will put a card up on your screen right now to take you over to my chickens video. I know a lot of cards, but it's just in case you guys want to check out how to do those things if you don't know how to do them already. And then again, we're just going to put it over into that dump area right there. Next up, we have sugar, which I'll put a card up on your screen again, as you can imagine, to take you over to the sugar mill to learn how to produce sugar if you want to. The bakery itself does take a lot of goods that have already been produced, and then this is kind of where you're going to make kind of some final goods, kind of more of an in-game production, if you will. That's kind of the way I like to look at it. But yeah, last thing is we have butter right here, and we have bottled milk. These both come from the dairy. So I'll put a card up on your screen right now to take you over to my video guide on the dairy. And again, you're just going to put them in here. But that guide will teach you how to make stuff at the dairy, so you can make your bottled milk and your butter. And again, for this guy, it's on the back side. For this production facility here, you just got to find the dump icon, which is right there. So all I got to do is start putting stuff in there. You can see just like that. I'll do the rest of it off camera because you guys don't need to watch that. On this facility specifically right here, this is kind of the smaller looking bakery here. You can see the different ones here. We have this one that we just put on the side. This one's going to go to the back of it right here. You can see the little dump icon again. And again, I can start putting stuff in there just like that. And then finally, the small one over here, you can see the dump icon on the side. If I just put it in there, it's going to take stuff right there in the form of pallets. So you can just keep putting stuff in there. What I'm going to do now, since we've already talked about all the production inputs, I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of these in and then get these guys stocked up with a few different things and kind of get them full of some production goods so we can actually produce some stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'll bring you back in and we'll talk about how the productions work. All right, so I just stocked up one of them pretty heavily, this guy right here. We'll just use this to produce most of our stuff. We'll still produce some stuff with the other ones, but anyhow, let's talk about how this actually works. Now, first things first, we got to get into the production menu. There's a couple ways to do that. One is you can just go up to the building, walk up to this right here, the wrench icon, hit R, it'll take you right in there. The other way is if you hit escape, go into your menu, normally you'll spawn into the map here. This will be the default screen. Go down here to your production input, and then if you're on available, you need to scroll over to owned, and then you can select any of the bakeries in there. The last way to do it is on the map, you can find where the bakeries are, click on it, and then hit manage, and it'll take you into the screen here. That way you can see kind of what's going on. So pretty straightforward there. Now, once we're in here, we'll talk about this one since I put the most stuff in it. All of these are going to be identical in terms of how they work. The only difference is the small bakery here, this guy right here, you can see it's going to make less stuff. It's going to have less stuff going on. So this is a tenth of the speed. The small one is a tenth of the speed of all three of the big ones. The three big ones are identical in terms of their production. They just look a little bit different. So just be aware about that. And then also as well, the small bakery here is going to have a smaller capacity for stuff. So just be aware of that as well. But we click over here. We have our products. We can make bread from flour, bread from rice flour, then cake from flour, and cake from rice flour. Now the outputs of cake and the outputs of bread are going to be identical. So there's not going to be like, rice flour bread and then regular bread. They're going to be the same output, but you're just using a different material to make them. So in terms of that, just be aware of that. The cake, same thing. It's just going to be one output of cake. So essentially the bakery makes two things, which is bread and cake. Now, if we go up here to the top, let's go over here. Take a look at our incoming materials. We have butter, eggs, flour, milk bottled, rice flour, strawberries, and sugar. If your milk is not bottled, it won't take it either. Just be aware of that. So if you're trying to put just regular raw milk in here like you did in FS22, it's not going to work. You have to put bottled milk in here, which has to be bottled at the dairy, which makes sense. Before you could actually make stuff with milk, you typically have to pasteurize it or process it a little bit further. So it makes sense. But anyhow, we have what we have in here. So we have 5,000 liters of butter out of 5,000 liter capacity, and then we have 100% filled. Down here for like flour, you can see 25,000 out of the 110, and so on and so forth. It has all the different quantities, and then how much is actually in there, how much it can hold, and then the percentage of how full it is. Same thing with outgoing products, bread and cake. We have 0 liters of 55,000 for bread and 10,000 for cake. So just be aware of that. Then if we go down here to production, we have status, which right now the status for everything is inactive because nothing's running. If I click on it and hit active, it's going to say running, which is great. And then if I hit deactivate, it's going to go back to inactive. Now, if I go up to, for example, do any of these missing materials? I don't think so. I think we have enough in everything we put stuff in everything. So one thing I will note is if you do activate one of the productions and then it doesn't have the materials, it'll say materials missing in the status bar here, and it'll put a little red exclamation point right over here if something's wrong. So just be aware of that. But we're not going to have that issue because I have all the products in here. Then we have cycles per month, cost per month. These guys are tied together. So this is again per month. So be aware of that. If you're running 1 day per month, this is going to be 120 cycles it's going to produce per month, which I'll talk about what that means in a second. And then cost per month, it's going to be $60 a day to run. If you're running 2 day months, so you have 2 days in game per month, and this is going to happen 120 cycles are going to happen every 2 days, and then it's going to charge you $60 over the course of 2 days. So just be aware of that. Now, the cycles per month, that's 120 cycles. What a cycle is this recipe. So one cycle is going to be 90 liters of flour to 45 liters of bread. That's going to happen in one cycle. So 120 cycles is quite a bit. This is going to happen 120 times, which is, again, quite a bit. It's going to go through quite a bit of flour and produce quite a bit of bread with the bakery at full bore like that. So just be aware of that. That's what that means, though, there. If we go down to rice flour, you see the rice flour recipe is a little bit different. 68 liters of rice flour to 45 liters of bread. Then cake, we have 8 liters of flour, 8 liters of sugar, 8 liters of bottled milk, 8 liters of egg, 8 of butter, and 8 of strawberries to make 21 liters of cake. The rice flour is the same, except the recipe now only calls for 6 liters of rice flour instead of the 8 liters of flour. So, but that's the only difference in the recipe, so just be aware of that. So you may not have to provide anything other than flour if you're just trying to make bread. Cake requires a lot of different inputs to make cake, but you can make quite a bit of money off of cake. So kind of depends on how much work you want to put into it. So there you go. Last thing we need to talk about here is the output mode. Currently they're set to storing. Now, if I change that, it's going to change both of the bread outputs because there's only one output for bread. And then there's only one output technically for cake, even if there's two different recipes. So if I have it set to selling here, well, let's actually go through them all. We have obviously distributing. So we have storing, selling, distributing. What storing is going to do is as you're producing bread, it's going to keep producing until it has enough to spawn a pallet of bread. And then it'll spawn a pallet at the pallet spawn point, which I'll show you in a second. And then it'll keep doing that until there's no more room for pallets. And then it'll slowly fill up this capacity in here. If I have it set to selling, that means that every hour, however much bread or cake, if you have cake set to selling, it's going to sell that bread or cake off every hour on the hour, which is great. You can sell it off automatically and make some money that way if you don't want to deal with transporting it. However, you do take a 20 to 40% hit on it, so just be aware of that. It's going to bill you to go ahead and sell it directly, so it may not be worth it, and you may end up cutting into your profit margins quite a bit. Lastly, you can set it to distributing, which really doesn't matter for cake and bread, but it is available there to set it to, which all that means is if there's another production that requires bread or cake, which there isn't in the base game, it would send that over, and it doesn't charge you for this, it would send that over to those production points to be able to be used. Now, it might be a good idea to set some other things to distributing. For example, if you have a sugar mill, set that to distributing to have your flour come here. Greenhouses, set your strawberries to distributing, so they come here automatically. Same with the flour, the milk, all of this stuff in here, except for the eggs from the chickens, can be set to distributing to automatically deliver over here. The eggs are the only ones you'd have to manually deliver, so just be aware about that. So there you go. But yeah, those are what the different outputs mean there. I'm going to set them to storing, and then let's go ahead and just activate all of these and get these kind of rocking and rolling. And then what we're going to do is fast forward a little bit of time, and then we're going to talk about the products that are produced by the bakery. All right, now we have passed through some time here. We have some products spawn out here. We have a nice, wonderful pallet of 1,000 liters of cake, which is great. And then we have pallets of 1,000 liters of bread, which is fantastic. So we got bread and cake out here, all good and ready to go, which is awesome. Yeah, which the cake is quite heavy. This pallet of cake is 400 kilograms, so that pallet must be made of solid steel. But anyhow, quite nice. Now, what do you do with these? These are kind of in-game products, so you're going to sell these off to make a profit. If you want more information on how to sell pallets off, I'll put a link to a video that I made to kind of give some more information on that down below in the description. But essentially, you're going to transport these, and again, we'll talk about transporting pallets as we get further in the video here. We have a little section on that. You're going to want to come in the menu and then find it in here, find whatever product it is. So bread here, take it to one of those spots to sell off, and then cake here, you can take it to one of those spots to sell it off, or wait maybe for the best month to sell it off. But that's what you're going to do with it to be able to make a little bit of cash on it. Pretty straightforward. But for this bakery here, you can see the stuff is going to spawn here. For this one right here, the stuff is going to spawn on the back side of it here in this area. And then for this one, the stuff is going to spawn actually right up front here on the left-hand side. And then finally for this guy right here, which nothing has actually spawned yet, but it'll spawn in this little section on the front. I believe 3 pallets can spawn here. So there you go, which is great. But yeah, those are the products from the bakery, the bread and the cake there. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to play a little video that's going to kind of pre-recorded that's going to show you how to move pallets around and stuff like that. If you don't need that, just skip ahead. Next, we're going to talk about the actual profitability of the bakery. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, and then we'll talk about profitability. To be able to move pallets around in-game, you have to be able to use a pallet fork of some kind on one of these various pieces of equipment, which I'll show you how to do that. Obviously, you can enable super strength if there's a mod out there for that, or if you're on PC and you enable the console commands, then you should be able to activate that. That won't work for console, though. If you do want to learn how to do that on PC, I do have a link to a video down below in the description that will help you enable console commands for your PC game. That way you can just enable super strength. But if you are without super strength or on console, let's talk about the different ways to do this. So first off, we have a tractor with a front loader attachment. We have a front loader. We have a telehandler, a wheel loader, a skid steer, and a forklift. Now, if you're lifting like very large items or like a lot of forestry stuff, like some of the forestry pallets, like in terms of like wood beams and stuff like that, you may want you may want a wheel loader to do it. Otherwise, a wheel loader might be a little overkill for you, but you can find all these in the store. So I'll show you this. You can also check on your farm if, let's say, well, for example here, one of the starting tractors is this guy on a lot of the maps. So if you go into here, this guy does have the ability to add a front loader attachment. If you see this in the store, you can hit yes, it'll put it in there. Then you want to confirm your customizations down below if you're customizing it at the shop. Otherwise, you can just go in and you can check anyone and you'll see if they have a front loader attachment or not. This one should. There you go, front loader attachment. Make sure you say yes to that. You can either do quickie, hour, or no for those as well. Now, whatever design you decide to go with there, go back out of here, go down to front loaders here, and then pick the correct one. And then you'll see down here there's a horsepower requirement. Whatever horsepower your tractor is, try to get the one closest to your horsepower. You don't want to have this massive one here if it's not going to work for your tractor. You also can go in here, and if I hit oh, it's not going to be on there, darn it. Sometimes they'll show up with customizations below to be able to add a front loader. This one actually will do it here because this one has a specific one, but sometimes you'll see that and you can just do that. So if that's available, that's the easiest way to find out what one is designed to go with that. Now, if you're going to buy a front loader, telehandler, wheel loader, or skid steer loader, there's a specific process for that. First, go in here. You can either go in here to look at the dedicated front loaders, dedicated skid steers, dedicated wheel loaders, and then, or excuse me, dedicated telehandlers, dedicated skid steers are down here. And then you need to go to their appropriate category. So for a front loader, you need to go to front loader tools, telehandler tools, wheel loader to wheel loader tools, skid steer to skid steer tools. Then go in that respective category, find the pallet fork and purchase that. And then you can hook it up to the front of your vehicle. So let's say I bought this guy right here and I bought all these different parts separately. Let me just show you how to disconnect them real quick. So if I hit Q, that'll disconnect that. And then I can also disconnect this. So if you want to use it as a regular tractor, you can also disconnect it. But to connect it, just do it in reverse, line it up, get here, and then you'll see a command down at the bottom to connect, and then just drive up here, and then you can connect here. Now, how to operate these, up in the upper left-hand corner, usually it's mouse controls if you're on PC. It'll be different controls for you if you are on console. But you can see the advanced controls up there in the upper left-hand corner. If I hold down right mouse button, it shows me what those controls are. Left mouse button shows me what those controls are. So that'll be how you can do your controls. Now, finally, if you wanted to buy a forklift, forklifts are also very easy to buy. They're a dedicated unit for this. So if you go in here, just go under forklifts and choose whichever one you would like to buy there. So there you go. That's how you move pallets around on all platforms. All right, time to talk about profitability. So here on my spreadsheet, which just is linked down below in the description, and you can download a copy of it if you'd like to make changes to anything on there as well. But we have our bakery full size here, and then we have our bakery small here. Now, again, the bakery small is the same thing as the bakery full size, and all three of those bakery full sizes are going to be the same setup here. The bakery small is just a tenth of what this is, so this is just 10 times more effective, but all the numbers are still calculated in here in case you want it. So we have the product, which is bread from flour and then bread from rice flour. Then you can see the inputs are flour and rice flour. That shows you how many cycles per month that those are running. The input amount, so 90 liters per cycle, 68 liters of rice flour per cycle. This is the input cost. So what that means is if you were instead of putting it in the bakery, you were to sell it separately, this is what you would get with an average price on normal economy mode. Then we have the output of 45 bread, which obviously is the same value because that's what we're going to sell it for. And you can see the profitability here is slightly higher for rice flour, but pretty close to the same here. You are going to make, however, more overall profit per month on the bread from flour because you're able to produce so much more. 5,400 liters of bread versus 2,160. And this shows you how much flour, however, you need to keep that running. So 10,000 liters of regular flour versus 3,200 liters of rice flour to keep that running. And then down here, this one's a little bit different because it's the cake. We have obviously flour, sugar, milk, bottled eggs, butter, strawberry. So 6 inputs, same with the rice flour cake down here. This is the cycles per month, and this is how many liters of each of those products. This is each product's value independently if you sold it separately. And then you get 21 liters of cake, which is the value of the cake. This is the profit per cycle, which is pretty good, which this is subtracting. You can see up here well, actually, maybe you can't. But up here, oh, no, you can. Okay, so yeah, my calculation is including that all of these are subtracted from that to get the whole profitability there. So just be aware of that. Someone pointed out that I had not done that yet on the spreadsheet, so I fixed that. So now the profitability is actually more accurate. And as you can see, we're making quite a bit of profit on the cake per cycle. So yes, the overall profit per month doesn't look like it's that high, but that's only because we're only producing 1,000 liters of cake a month. We're not producing a lot. So what I want you to be able to pay attention to here is the actual profit per cycle is quite high. This is a lot per cycle here. So you have quite a bit of a profit margin here compared to, well, selling these guys all separately. So you're going to actually make quite a bit of money. It just might take a little bit to get that money because it takes a while to make the cake. But if you take the time to put all these inputs in, it's going to be worth it. What's also really interesting here is the cake from regular flour as opposed to rice flour. The regular flour one is more profitable, which is different from the breads being separate there. So just be aware of that. Now down here at the bottom, the next sheet is the used values here. So for cake, I have 5,940. That's say you normally sell it. I'm going to write that over here so I don't forget. 5940. Let's say you normally sell your cake for, maybe you're on easy difficulty, so you normally sell it for $12,000 per 1,000 liters. Well, if you enter that change, it'll actually come in here and you can see our profit has changed on here. So these values, if you change them in here, will reflect on this sheet as well. just be aware of that. So I'm going to put back my standard value there. But yeah, so that's always nice there if you wanted to change things up, or you're getting different prices on your map, or what your save settings are, or whatever the case may be. You can put whatever prices you want here to help you with your calculations. Then production other, I should note as well here that the bakery is not a divided production. Now what that means, if we're in the game here and we go up to our bakery here, we have 4 different things that the bakery can produce. So if I have, I'm going to turn all of these off here just to be safe. Now, if I have bread here and I activate it, okay, that's great. I'm assuming it's going to do 120 cycles of this per month. That's great. Now, if I activate this, it's also going to do 48 cycles of this per month. That seems pretty standard. That feels like that's how it should work. However, if it had been a divided production, this is not divided. In a divided production, it would have cut the cut the production for both of those in half. So if I had 2 productions running, this 120 would be cut down to 60. If I had 3 running, this would be cut down to 40. If I had 4 running, this would be cut down to, 30. Yeah, 30 is a fourth of that. So, but because this is not a divided production, you can have all 4 of these running and they will all 4 run at full capacity instead of splitting kind of their production ability down, which is how our divided production works. So just something important to note there. But anyhow, guys, I hope this was helpful for you in some way, shape, or form. If you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel and turn on your notification bells so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.